But first, let's get an update out of New York for the Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial. The jury has been hearing a second day of testimony from a former assistant for Combs, and she's been testifying under the pseudonym Mia. There are no cameras in court, but with the help of AI voice technology, we've been able to simulate some of that testimony. Here's what Mia was asked yesterday on Direct about how she tried to help Cassie Ventura when she says Combs attacked her.
He immediately, almost like slow motion, like I was sliding down the wall of some sort. The bedroom was to my left, and he immediately ran in, and I saw him grab Cass, and I couldn't get there fast enough. Underneath her bed was this wood, like a bed platform, and the corner was like the sharpest, strongest corner I have ever seen. And I just saw him pick her up, and I thought he is actually going to kill her. And he slammed her head into the corner, of the bed.
The allegations from this witness have been harrowing. Right now, this jury is on a lunch break, so it gives us an opportunity to check in with Scripps News Group reporter Alex Miller, who is outside of that federal courthouse and has been inside many weeks of this trial. Alex, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us about how Mia's testimony is going today.
Well, she looks physically similar to what she did yesterday, and by that I mean she's hunched over. You can really just see the part in her hair, her bangs covering her eyes. She's looking down, so it's really tough to even make out exactly what her face looks like because she's really shrunk herself in such a way, just like she did yesterday. This morning, the bulk of it was spent on direct examination as she detailed the ongoing threats that she felt like she was living under when she worked for Sean Combs, detailing the situations where she ended up getting suspended. Things like she got kicked off of a yacht because she didn't count the cash from his safe quickly enough. She didn't give him enough options of clothing choices when he was going on to a trip. Those kinds of things got her suspended without pay. She testified that she had to beg to get time off to go to her grandmother's funeral. All of these things, she says, left her with PTSD, unable to work since she left working for him because simple questions like, where are you, would send her kind of into a tailspin. She also testified that once Cassie filed that lawsuit in 2023, she started hearing from Sean Combs again, checking in on her, calling her. She never responded to him, but he also had his security guard, D-Rock, reach out to her as well. They did text a little bit, but D-Rock asked for her address, something that she was not willing to give. She said she felt like they were reaching out to her to make sure that she wasn't a threat. Now, when the defense took over, they started bringing up social media posts. She had several posts on her own social media accounts praising Sean Combs, showing her with bottles of Ciroc, of him putting positive comments on her page. And they said all of this happened, all of these posts happened after you were allegedly sexually assaulted by him and abused by him? And she said yes, and they asked how that was possible. And I thought she gave a pretty human answer, which is that social media is not real life. This is something that people do where they post to make their life look better than it is. They also asked her about the dynamic between her and Combs because there were multiple emails where she would end the email by saying, love you. And she said the dynamic would change very quickly. You never really knew what kind of mood he was going to be in. So when they get back to this cross-examination today, she's going to expected to be on the stand for the rest of the day today. And then, of course, this trial we have now learned is a little bit ahead of schedule. So the prosecution might rest within the first 2 weeks of June instead of the back end of June.
Wow, interesting information, Alex. Can I ask you just to remind us, recap why Mia is testifying under a pseudonym and what the court has ordered in regards to that?
Yeah, so she has completely used this pseudonym the entire time. The jury was shown a passport photo of hers under seal, meaning we were not able to view it either. That gives them her real name, but nobody else knows her name. And that is because she's worried for her safety. She is being utilized, I think, in a couple different ways. First of all, there's these allegations that are part of the superseding indictment that discussed the workplace environment, the overworking that was done to many of these employees. days. She's one that testified yesterday. She often worked from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m., that she had to work once 5 days straight without sleep. She was sent home once because she fell asleep after being kept up for multiple days at a time, and Combs was upset about it. So these are the kinds of things that the prosecutors want her to testify to. But also, she was present. That clip that you just played before coming to me about being present during the abuse of Cassie Ventura, that's also something that she has testified to being present for. She is still very good friends with Cassie Ventura. She even testified today that she talked to her just as a couple of days ago, though she said they did not discuss the testimony or the trial, but that they are still in somewhat regular contact.
Is a really important witness. There have been some legal experts that we talked to, Alex, who say that this witness has gotten them on board with this being perhaps a racketeering case. Alex, thank you so much for that live report. I know we'll be checking in with you throughout the day. Let's bring in now our national trial attorney guest who is standing by. Michael Jaffer is with us. Michael, Alex paints a picture of what it's like inside of that courtroom and just the demeanor of this witness on the stand. I mean, her head down, you're only seeing her hair part. I'm wondering if that is purposeful to further shroud her identity. I understand even how she comes into the courtroom may be shrouded so that people can't get a photograph of who she is. But does that prejudice the defendant at all? You've got someone who is clearly scared to the point they don't even want their name out.
Absolutely, completely prejudices him, and what it shows the jury is that it lends credence to her allegation that she suffers from PTSD. She avoided him and his team, and she was abused. It does lend credence to that. At the end of the day, what the government's trying to do, and why this witness is important, what the government is trying to do with this witness is very, very difficult. They've never done this before. I tried to find a precedent for it. I couldn't find it. What they're trying to do is basically show that Sean Diddy Combs was like a mob boss, but instead of, bribing, dumpster companies and bribing unions, he's actually coercing people into sexual acts. This has never been done before, because at the end of the day, if the jury finds at the end of this trial that he was gross, he was a monster, he was a criminal, he committed all these acts, and some of them were criminal, but this was not part of his business, then the racketeering goes out the window. That's why this witness, this Mia, is so important. That's why her demeanor is so important, because her demeanor will show that she was the linchpin to connect his business and his grotesque personal fetish life. Right? That's why she's important, and that's why her demeanor is so important, because it'll lend credence to that. Will it work? I don't know. What I've seen, Julia, is that when because juries are human beings. They're not AI robots. They're not going to be able to detach the human element of a witness and what a witness has gone through from the actual elements on a piece of paper that they will be given in instructions at the end of the case when they're trying to decide the case. They can't divorce those two, right? So if the government can paint Sean Combs as this supervillain who has done these, like 1% of what they have pretty much proven he's done, not a single human being does, right? And I don't want to pass judgment on his life, but at the end of the day, it's pretty dramatic. So this Mia is going to lend credence to all of that, and she's going to help the government paint him as a supervillain. And when the jury goes into the room, they're going to give reasonable inferences in favor of the government. So that's why I think this witness and her demeanor is so important to the federal government.
And you said the word supervillain. That's the exact word that witness Kid Cudi used on the stand when talking about his interaction with Sean Diddy Combs.